Welcome to Psychology of Pilgrimage. In this episode, I am joined by Irfan Ertan, who is an instructor in the Department of History at Bilkent University. It's really nice to see you, Irfan.
Thank you.
This podcast happened quite quickly, and I wanted to set the stage for why we're having this conversation. One of the wonderful aspects of hosting this podcast is that I get to delve into some research places, rabbit holes that are interesting, and pursue scholarly conversations with people who have written about interesting topics. A couple of weeks ago, I discovered a medal on an online auction that commemorated the journey of Kaiser Wilhelm II to Palestine in 1898, which piqued my curiosity because I didn't know anything about this particular journey. And so I looked into the newspaper archives for the United States, and the journey was classified and characterized as a pilgrimage, which I found very interesting. The particular medal that I had found was it depicted the Church of the Redeemer in Jerusalem, and the description of the medal indicated that this journey was an important religious journey. And so I thought, I need to learn more about this. So I discovered your article that you had written based on your master's thesis,
Yes.
which was called A Soft Crusade by the German Empire, the Second Orient Journey of Wilhelm II, 1898. And I thought, I need to know more about this. I want to learn all about this particular journey. And you labeled it a soft crusade. American sources labeled it a pilgrimage. You emphasized in your article that it was a political journey, but there are some religious aspects to it. And so I'm looking forward to delving into everything you know about this particular journey. But first, before we get into it, who are you? You're a PhD student now, and so I'd love to hear about what you're currently doing, and then also what led to this research on Kaiser Wilhelm II.
I just finished my PhD in
You did?
April.
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's
I'm an
wonderful.
instructor now at Bilkent University,
Okay.
and now I'm studying and teaching intellectual history of the late Ottoman Empire and Turkey. And I gave up this topic, the Ottoman-German relations, for 5 or 6 years. But for this podcast, I again studied and relearned something.
Okay, excellent. So it is interesting to be a researcher, and the research that we're talking about is several years in the past. So we can acknowledge that this is not a fresh topic for you, but it is for me. So I'm much like a primary school student with a lot of questions and curiosities about this journey. And I'd really like to hear how you came to be interested in Ottoman German relations to begin with, but then in specific this journey of the emperor in 1898.
Actually, in my master years, I'm searching for topics about the German Empire because I want to learn the unification of the German Empire by Bismarck and Kaiser Wilhelm I. But later, my advisor said that let's study the second journey of Kaiser Wilhelm II if you want. And I'm searching for this topic and see that there are a lot of works, newspapers, archival documents, etc. And I decided to study this topic. And for I think from my first year at bachelor years, I wanted to learn about the unification of German Empire, and by playing computer games and etc. I I go in deeper, and decided that topic.
This era of time is interesting to me, fascinating to me on many different levels in terms of global history, but particularly the history and political, religious uh, situation that's happening in what we call the Holy Land at this time. So the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, there are a lot of pilgrimages that are happening during this time. And it seems that all the pilgrimages that occur cannot be teased apart from their political motivations also. So while I hear you say that the Wilhelm himself did not characterize this necessarily as a pilgrimage. The religious aspects to it, I do think, fall under a broad. They fall under the practices of other types of pilgrimages that are happening, and there are a lot of different political entities that are sort of grappling for power in the Holy Land at this time. And so Wilhelm's journey is entering straight into this context of socio-political um, controversy and entities that are vying for power. Can you say more about that and talk us through the itinerary of this particular journey?
And I think it's both political for the German Empire and Ottoman Empire, and also for Russia, France, and British Empire, because in this journey, Kaiser Wilhelm not only protected Protestant Church, but also he declared that he's also the protector of Catholic Church and all of the Muslims. And so it's not completely religious for Kaiser Wilhelm, but he wanted to protect all the religious entities in these lands.
And it seems from your article that this evolved over the course of the Kaiser's journey, that when he comes into Jerusalem to dedicate the Church of the Redeemer, which had recently been built. This is the German Protestant church in Jerusalem. His focus was very much on being the protector of Protestant Christians within Palestine. But then, as the journey unfolds, he goes to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is a holy site for Catholics. He then says he's the protector of Catholics. And then, as he moves into Damascus,
Yes.
he then declares that he is the protector of Muslims. And so, did he start out with this motivation to be kind of the protector of different religious traditions, or did this evolve as his journey unfolded?
He had these motivations before that journey because after the resignation of Bismarck, the former prime minister of German Empire wanted to become one of the imperialist entities of these European nations and wanted to take some lands because until the coronation of Wilhelm II, British Empire, French Empire, Belgium, and other empires shared Africa and America, both South and North America, and there are a little bit of lands in Africa, for example, Congo, Togo, etc. Wilhelm II thinks that he cannot take the lands of French Empire, British Empire, Russia. He wanted to control these Ottoman lands with soft power and Ottoman entities with soft power.
So he went into the journey with the intent of demonstrating that he could be a person who is uniting all of these groups under one protectorate.
Not uniting, but he wanted to use some interest in these entities. He wanted to establish some little colonies in these lands and control these lands against British Empire and French Empire.
How
Because,
did, yeah,
sorry,
please go ahead.
because I think he thought that Ottoman Empire will lose these lands against British Empire or French Empire. So he wants to protect Ottoman Empire against these empires and control these lands with soft power, not using his army or his imperialist policies, but with soft power. He wanted to use Ottoman Empire in these lands.
What was the French and British response to this journey and to this idea of Wilhelm becoming the protector of Protestant, Catholic, and then Muslim people who are living in these places?
They were against this imperialist policy because they want they don't want to lose their power in these lands, because French from Napoleon Bonaparte and British Empire for many years protect Catholic or Protestant entities in these lands. And for example, French newspapers wrote negative things about this journey, and British Empire against this journey, as I mentioned, because they don't want to lose their impact on these lands, and they don't want to challenge with German Empire in this race. Because until I think 1890, until the resignation of Bismarck, the German Empire didn't have any imperialist policy. They want to become friends with British Empire, French, and Russia. But after the resignation of Bismarck, Wilhelm II take all the control of the empire and began his imperialist policies.
You also mentioned in your article about how there started to be more the cultural and archaeological impact was also evident in the sense that many artifacts were transferred from Palestine and Syria into museums in Berlin. Can you say a little bit more about that?
And German Empire established Orient society in the late 19th century and began excavations at Mesopotamia. And as you know, archaeology and museology was the is the son or daughter of imperialism. And the Ottoman Sultan Abdülhamit II wanted to give the sarcophagus of Alexander to Wilhelm II, but Osman Hamdi Bey, the founder of museology and archaeology in the Ottoman Empire, prevented this situation, and he protected the sarcophagus. But German Empire continued excavations. As you know, the Temple of Bergama at Museum of Berlin now, and like other imperialist empires like British Empire and French Empire, German Empire also obtained some archaeological excavations from the Ottoman Empire. For example, at Babylon, today's Iraq, the German Empire took some archaeological things and etc. And Abdülhamit II gave permissions to excavate some lands in the Ottoman Empire to the Germans, because the Ottoman Empire sometimes gave some permissions. For example, the first permission I think was given to French and later the British empires and then later the German Empire. And also with these archaeological excavations, they also gained the permission of the construction of Hijaz Railway from the Ottoman Empire. And so these permissions not only cultural but also economic and political.
So you've talked about the cultural, political, economic uh, results of this particular journey. Well, and combined with his first journey, right,
Yes,
that happened in the late 1880s.
but
Uh,
it's a short
also,
journey. It's very short.
yes, yes. Uh, and and also, what about? I was interested to read in your article about the arms trade then that also resulted from this visit to Palestine and Syria.
There was another arm trade agreement before that journey.
Okay.
There are some German generals, for example, Kolmar von der Goltz, the student of Clausewitz. He is the founder of some military uh, doctrines. For example, his uh, folk under I forgot its name, but he is very important for military doctrines in the 19th century. And Abdülhamit II want some military advisors from Kaiser Wilhelm I, and Bismarck did not want to send these advisors because he thinks that if we send these military advisors to Ottoman Empire, and we are also sending these military advisors to Russia, Russia can or could turn turn her face down to us, and for this reason he did not want to make good relations with Ottoman Empire, but with the pressure of Wilhelm II, Bismarck sent these advisors to Ottoman Empire, and these military advisors start to teach some courses at military schools, and most of the Ottoman military bureaucrats, even the founder of Turkish Republic, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, was the students of these military advisors. For example, some military arm trades agreements was done in these years. For example, Krupp company or Mauser company gave some arms at these years.
Your article focuses on the political economic archaeological pieces to the journey, and then you also highlight some of the religious elements. You don't go so far as to call it a pilgrimage, but you do call it a soft crusade. And I'm wondering if you have any insights. I had, as I mentioned at the very beginning, I found this medal that was in an online auction that shows the Church of the Redeemer on one side, and on the back is a statement around that the visit was not for political purposes, but that it was for religious purposes. And I wondered if I imagine, I think there were something like 50 different types of medals that were minted for this particular commemoration, the commemoration of the visit. Did Wilhelm have any influence around how the visit was commemorated, or do you have a sense of which groups were involved in shaping the narrative around what the visit was for, and then how it would be permanently uh, commemorated and remembered through these artifacts in the form of the medals?
I think the bureaucrats of both Ottoman Empire and German Empire influenced these commemorations, but sometimes Ottoman Empire like lesser partner of this journey. For example, in Jerusalem, Ottoman Empire built a new gate for the Kaiser because according to Islamic laws, a non-Muslim cannot enter the city on the horse. Only conqueror of the city may enter this gate, the, the old gate, on the horseback, but the Kaiser should enter the city on the horseback. The Ottoman bureaucrats built a new gate for the Kaiser, and he entered the city on the horseback. They solved this problem, and as I mentioned, Ottoman Empire wanted to gain the influence or sympathy of the Kaiser because it's bad days for Ottoman Empire in the, for example, Armenian problems or British problem in the Egypt or French took Tunis 20 years ago, and Ottoman Empire collapsing and losing her territory. So they wanted to gain a non-imperialist empire sympathy. For this reason, they did what the German Empire want for this journey or for these relations.
Yeah, the situation with the horseback and the gate
Yes,
is interesting. I've actually passed through, I've been exactly to the gate where this occurred, and so I can actually think through this experientially, what this was like, and then the new gate being built
yes,
so that there would not be any type of symbolic association with the city being conquered.
yes. But they solved this problem with Newgate.
Yeah. And also I read in your article that there was a water fountain that was established to was this in Jerusalem? I can't remember
No,
where you said
Istanbul.
this. It was in Istanbul. Okay. So does that fountain still exist?
Yes, and some Muslims thinks that this is a tomb of a saint of Muslims, and they are praying at these.
Really?
Yes, and it's not a türbe.
So yeah. So yeah, let me just back up because we have been focusing on Jerusalem and
Yes,
Syria, but the Kaiser's first stop was actually in Istanbul,
yes,
and he was there for a number of days. During which time the it seemed that the people in Istanbul were very they warmly
yes,
received the Kaiser. He was met with greetings in the street when he was walking around, and then this fountain was established. What does the fountain look like?
if you want, I can show you.
Wow, this is a huge fountain. This is not a small monument.
It's like a tomb in the middle.
Does water still come out of it?
Yes,
And so and it has evolved over time so that some people, Muslims in particular in Istanbul, are praying at the fountain thinking
yes,
that it is a holy site.
but the number is a little. Not all the Muslims,
Yes.
because there is a writing in it. It says it's a fountain, but some don't see the notice, and they are praying.
Is there a plaque or some type of description about what the
Yes,
fountain is?
yes, yes.
What what does it say?
It says it's the Alman Çeşmesi, fountain of Germans, and it says it was built by the Kaiser Wilhelm II.
Wow. This is also super intriguing to me.
Yes, it's a description.
Okay. I'm going to have to look more into this. Do so we didn't actually intend to talk about this, but this is a this is fascinating to me. So Muslims are praying here. Do you know why what is the intent for their prayers? What is it that they are in hoping will happen at this fountain? Or
They think that it's a tomb of a saint for Muslims, but
oh,
the number
okay,
is less. Not all the Muslims praying at these
yeah,
locations. Some don't know about this situation and pray at that place. For example, in Anatolia, I think I forgot the place. There is a tomb of a Mongol general, but Muslims think that it's a tomb of the Muslim commander or Muslim saint and
yes,
pray at this location.
that's so. It, it is remarkable to
Yes.
see these places evolve over time and how they can become important places of meaning that have nothing to do with the original intent. Are there any other practices at the fountain? Do people
No,
leave
no,
something there, or what?
no, no. And
It's just prayer.
as I mentioned, there are less. For example, in one day, 2 or 3 people pray
Mm-hmm.
without knowing what actually
Yes.
it is. Not all the Muslims go and
Yes.
pray.
Yeah, I understand that it is a small group of
Yes,
people.
yes.
Do you think this information is passed within a family? So people maybe have, or where do they learn about this?
People don't know about anything in Turkey, I think. For example, some people go and pray in the tomb of Byzantine generals, thinks that they are Muslim generals. The
Yes.
Turkish people likes praying at some
Yes.
places.
You mean someplace beyond a mosque or another
Yes,
type
yes,
of Islamic religious site?
yes, yes. It's a cultural heritage, I think.
What is it about Turkish cultural heritage that seems to draw people to physical sites?
Because I think Turkish people likes tomb visits. For example, my mother visits tomb of my grandmother, grandfather, or tomb of neighbors every week.
Is there a sense that there's a connection to the person, or is it keeping the memory alive, or uh, is it more? Is there a sense that people are are actually praying to the person, or do they hear from them, or what happens when they're at the tombs?
I think some people accept this as a religious duty.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's the same in other religions
Yes.
also, uh, and and definitely is important in battlefield pilgrimages, which I'm studying quite a bit right now, where people are visiting tombs. That's an important part of the pilgrimage.
For
Uh,
example, Gallipoli in
yes,
Turkey.
yes. Have you been to Gallipoli?
Yes. My hometown is very close to Gallipoli.
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
It's It's 1 or 2 hours.
So, what is it like for you to visit Gallipoli? I've been there, and I was there with an Australian person who, many Australian young people, Australian and New Zealanders come to Turkey. It's a rite of passage almost. That's an important part. It's a national pilgrimage for Anzacs. And so that's a different experience, though, than it would be for you as someone who is from the area. What have your visits been like?
I I visited last when I was a kid, and I think it's a historical place, and no other meaning for me
Yes.
because I cannot feel these people's feelings about it because my grandfather did not die in this battle or something else. So I cannot feel deeply these feelings or these tensions. Only historical place for me.
It is really, I found the site quite moving, but one of the reasons I found the site so moving was because of the very large uh, statement made by Ataturk.
Yes,
I mean, it to me is one of the most moving statements to to have been spoken, and then now it's, I mean, it's engraved into this massive stone. Uh, in which Ataturk talked about that our sons, I think he says, our Mehmets are the same as your Johnnies, and they all rest here together. And that's a really powerful
yes.
statement for a leader to have made.
He's a great leader.
What made him great, in your opinion?
I think he can be accepted as enlightened despots in Europe, and I think Turkish people should have a figure like Atatürk 100 years ago, but Atatürk, I think, both politician and military man, and also an intellectual. I think we don't have any figure like him in the world.
I think he did demonstrate a level of wisdom
Yes,
in recognizing that religion and religious fanaticism can overtake a
yes,
society, and it's important to constantly be vigilant against excuse me, against that happening.
I agree with you.
how did your how did your work uh, in this research on Kaiser Wilhelm influence your PhD and your research, maybe even currently?
And I gave up this topic and started to study the relationship between science and religion in the late Ottoman Empire and the effect of German philosophy to the Ottoman intellectual history.
That's fascinating in and of itself. I mean,
Yes,
I actually can see the connection, even if you've given up, even if you gave up the Wilhelm focus. I can definitely see how your master's research influenced and maybe inspired the work that you did for the PhD. Can you tell me more about your research as in the PhD, because that's also of great interest to me?
and I started to study the first Ottoman philosophical works. For example, there is a journal. Sorry, I forgot its name. Mecmua-i Fünun. It can be called a journal of sciences. And later, the entrance of positivism in the Ottoman Empire. And later, the entry of vulgar materialism, the materialism of the Germans, for example, Ludwig Bühner and Seykel Carl Vogt, to the Ottoman Empire, and the translations of, for example, the William Draper's work, the conflict between science and religion, or the Andrew Dixon White's work, A History of Conflict with Science and Christendom in the Western world. And I started to learn that how Ottoman intellectuals see this topic. For example, in Europe, most intellectual and most philosophers think that there is a conflict between science and especially Catholic Christianity, and Ottoman intellectuals try to bend this topic for the Ottoman Empire and thinks that not Islam but some arguments of Islamic scholars or Islamic thinkers conflict with science, and they try to show that our scientific understanding and our Islamic understanding does not conflict with each other, and they wanted to band Islam and science to make a harmony between these two two spheres of the intellectual world, and they try to enlighten Ottoman society. By doing this, they wanted to prevent the Christian missionaries' activities, because in these days there are a lot of Christian missionaries in the Ottoman lands, especially in the Middle East or in Anatolia. They wanted to prevent them, and they wanted to prevent the arguments of Orientalist intellectuals, for example, Ernst Renan, and they wanted to make Ottoman Empire a modern Western nation without losing their Islamic background. For example, there are some atheist Ottoman intellectuals, Abdullah Cevdet, Beşir Fuat, but even if they were atheist, they are supporting Islam against Christianity or the Orientalist intellectuals, because they think that they think that the Islam is a core for Ottoman and Turkish society, and we should protect the Islamic core.
What is the role of archaeology in all of this? I'm thinking about all of the sites in Turkey in particular, um, but also spreading across the Ottoman Empire. And on one hand, there's this idea that uh, that science must disentangle from religion, but within archaeology, this doesn't happen, because so many of the sites are religious sites, and so by nature of archaeological excavation and pursuits, religion is going to remain at the fore and be a constant reference point for the evolution of the society or the empire.
Yeah, I think the Ottoman Empire and Ottoman society did not give importance to archaeology at this time, and most people don't know anything about archaeology because the archaeological excavations mostly made in the Middle East part of the Ottoman Empire, and the intellectuals are mostly in the western part of the Ottoman Empire, Istanbul or Izmir. And I think there are not so much connection with archaeology and the intellectual mindset of Ottoman people, because and even today Turkish people don't give many importance to archaeology. For example, while the construction of Marmaray, do you know Marmaray?
Yes,
It connects both sides of Istanbul.
yes.
They found some sites of Byzantine Empire, and our president says that it's only plots. And even our president or prime minister did not give any importance to archaeology, even today. But some Ottoman intellectuals gave importance to anthropology rather than
Yes.
archaeology.
Yes.
And with this anthropological evidence, they tried to claim that evolution is a fact and we should believe this evolutionary line.
Mm-hmm.
Not about archaeology, but Ahmet Mithat, one of the most important intellectuals of the Ottoman Empire, he says that uh, don't blame yourself about being sorry, I forgot the word and looking for that, sorry, relative with apes. And look at Africa. There are people in Africa who are living in worse conditions than apes. So, and we should accept that we are relative with apes and should look at the future.
Was the but thinking about what you were saying about Christian missionary activity in as it pertains to this intellectual movement within the Ottoman Empire, and thinking about the long history of uh, Christian communities all over, especially Turkey, and wondering about how the presence of these churches and these communities um, impacted the missionary work that was happening, because there is this historical precedent of Christian presence in Turkey, and then it seems like the archaeological evidence also becomes quite important in grounding the Christian historical tradition within Turkey, and thinking about how that may counter this idea that missionary initiatives may be growing and becoming too overt.
And I think these missionary activities, not only religious but also political activities. For example, they mostly make their activities at the eastern part of Anatolia. For example, Armenians was some kind of Orthodox Christians, but now there are many Protestant and Catholic
Mm-hmm.
Armenians. They wanted to use Armenians as a political figure in these times. Also, they wanted to use Assyrians, and when they come to Anatolia and see Assyrians' religious practice, they said, "Wow, what kind of Christianity is this?" Because Assyrians are the most archaic version, one of the most archaic version of Christianity, and they think that how this can be a fac- faction of Christianity. But they wanted to use their political powers and spread their Protestantism or Catholicism in these lands,
Mm-hmm.
to use these entities against, for sometimes, Russia or Ottoman Empire. And even Mormon missionaries came to Anatolia and make their activities.
What years approximately was this?
Mormons, or
Yeah,
uh, let me check.
this is in the 19th century, right? Or you're talking
Yes,
about
yes,
the
19th
19th?
century, late 19th centuries. And it's 1984.
1984.
Yes,
Okay,
for
so 20th century.
Sorry, not 19th, 18.
Okay.
Sorry,
Well,
19th.
that's really interesting. So they
Yes.
were establishing churches in Eastern Anatolia at this point.
No, Mormons did not establish, or Protestants did not establish, but they they are traveling and doing their activities.
I see. Okay. Yeah, it's a very interesting period of time, which is why I've had a long fascination with this late 19th century, early 20th century, because there's increased mobility
Yes,
and people are, uh, so they're traveling different places, they're encountering different ways of thinking, but also pilgrimages are important during this period of time. And I mean, Eastern Anatolia is a crossroads of all different
yes.
types of trade and travel, and it's a pilgrimage route on its own coming into the Holy Land. Um, have you studied at all in your research in looking at the Ottoman Empire and religion about pilgrimages and how pilgrimages were viewed during certain periods of time?
No, but I know that it's very hard because there are bandits on the roads, or
Yes,
you should give water, food, and etc. to people because you can only use horses or camels, or some people even walk to the Holy
that's right.
Lands.
Yeah,
It almost take 1 year to go and back, and it's
yes,
very hard. And the most important thing, not for Christianity, but for Muslims, there are many bandits in the Arab lands at the at that time, and the grandfathers of Saudi family now
yes,
were the bandits of these lands. And some years, Muslim people cannot go to Holy Lands to pray and visit Kaaba, and it's
yes.
very hard to make pilgrimage at these times.
Was it was there still a sense that it was an obligation, that it's still one of the five pillars of Islam to make it?
Yes,
Or was there an idea that maybe it wouldn't happen for several generations?
yeah. I think the religious practice is obligation for Islam, but most people gave up to go Kaaba now because you should join some kind of lottery, and the Turkish state say that you may go or you cannot go. You can go
Yes,
because there are a lot of old people want to go, but you should pay a money, but it's too high for retired people or a working people. So, and there is another pray for Muslims. It's called Umrah.
yes,
Do you know Umrah?
yes,
Most people practice Umrah instead of Hajj because Hajj has a certain time, and you cannot do Umrah whenever you want, and there are less practices in Umrah. You may only visit Kaaba and turn around Kaaba 7 times. It's called Tawaf, and
yes,
that's enough. But for for Hajj, you should go the Safa and Marwa, the
hmm,
mother of Ismail's, going
yes. She's
from one
running
to
back
another. Yes,
to the well to bring back the Zamzam, get
yes.
the Zamzam water.
And Hajj is a very hard for especially old people because,
Yeah,
as you know, it's very hot and very expensive and very long time, for almost 15 or 20 days.
Yes, and they're susceptible to getting ill in a
Yes,
way that younger people are not. It's very crowded, and but it is a lifelong dream for many people.
yes.
And by the time that they're able to go or selected to go, many times people are in their older years.
My mother wants to go to Kaaba, and for this reason, she take passport.
So she got her passport
Yes,
specifically so she could do
yes,
the Hajj.
yes,
Well, this is, I mean, that's a remarkable dedication to her religious tradition.
yes.
So, has she entered the lottery to go?
I don't know, but I think she did.
Yes. Is that something that is important to you to do in your life, or is it something that you're it's good for your mother? Yeah, okay.
It's for only for mother.
Yes. It is the Hajj is interesting in many, many ways, but one of the elements that I really respect about the pilgrimage is that in principle, everyone is supposed to be the same. People wearing the same clothes, they're participating in the rituals in the same way, and there's supposed to be an erasure of class and national status and economic status. And I think that that is a remarkable focus and goal for any pilgrimage.
And it's the, I think, representation of the last day in Islamic literature, because you are wearing a cloth like a, uh, we called it kefen, and it's in English. I think I forgot the name.
Like a tunic or robe, that it's very
No,
basic
no, it's
clothing.
like, I think it's the representation of shroud.
A shroud. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
and in Hajj you cannot cut your hair or your nails or your
Yes.
be- beard or
Yep.
etc. And I think there is a tradition that if you die in Hajj, they should bury to that land to you.
Is that an honor to be buried near
I think
in the land of the Kaaba?
it's a tradition. I think
Okay. Yeah, it makes sense. This is the case in many world religions that people want to die in a place that is
yes.
closest to whatever their holy shrine is.
And some old people pray that, and my God, inshallah, I will die in Hajj
Yes. Yeah,
because
I can see why. I mean, they've lived their whole lives wanting to be here, being devoted and to their religious practice, and so it makes a lot of sense why that would be an honor to die there.
and because in Islamic traditions, when you practice Hajj, the God will erase all of your sins, and you will become like a baby born.
Yes. Well, for some people that's huge. Some people have a lot of sins, so I
Yes,
can see why they would want to die there.
some people have a lot of.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We all are have a lot of sins. That's true.
In this journey, I think also Kaiser Wilhelm became the protector of 300 million Muslims. And
Yeah, what did that mean? What did that mean for him when he said this?
I think he said that, from my opinion, I am the protect I am also the protector of the Ottoman Empire. And I think Ottoman Empire became semi-colony of the German Empire, because the German Empire also constructed the railway of Hijaz, the
Hmm.
Holy Lands for the Muslims, and so Ottoman Empire cannot build his own Holy Lands railway.
So the German Empire then facilitated the practice of Hajj by building the rail infrastructure in
Yes,
order for pilgrims to make that pilgrimage.
yes,
Yeah, okay, that's actually a pretty tangible example of how the Kaiser is protecting protecting and acting as a protectorate of Islam.
and I think Kaiser also wear Muslim clothes at this journey in some sense. Let me check if I'm. Let I found it
Okay?
from not one of my books, but from Reddit.
Well, we can always count on Reddit for something. So this is when he is entering, he goes to Damascus. Or when is
That's
he
it.
wearing? Okay. Oh yeah,
Can you see it?
I can see. I can see. Can you zoom in a little bit more? Is it possible to? So he's combining
Yes,
both empires in one in what he's wearing.
and German thing,
Yes,
and do you see the man in his
I can
back?
see. Yes. Did his wife also wear Ottoman clothes while they were on this journey?
I think in harem he wear that clothes, but I don't know whether she wear that clothes at Palestine or
Hmm.
Syria. And the one thing attract my attention while writing his cousin Nicholas II, the Russian Emperor. He said that Muslims are very good people, blah 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 blah. If I if I was a non-believer, I will I would become a Muslim. And he said that,
It's a pretty strong statement.
yeah, and, and if I was not a Christian, I will become a Muslim. But I think it's only for exaggerating this situation.
Hmm. As you look ahead in your career, and you're now teaching, what is your topic that you're teaching now?
The relationship between science and religion in the Ottoman
Ah,
Empire. My PhD thesis, I'm teaching intellectual history.
intellectual history. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, so is that Islamic intellectual history
no,
or all
Ottoman,
intellectual?
no Ottoman,
Sorry.
Ottoman
Okay.
and Turkish intellectual history.
Okay.
The
Okay.
late Ottoman, the late 19th century and early 20th century. And I'm also studying the European intellectual history and the late 19th and early 20th centuries for both Ottoman and Europe.
So what kinds of topics do you cover in your classes?
And classes first the political history of the late Ottoman Empire and the socio-political ideas of Ottoman intellectuals, for example, the young Turks, young Ottomans, and later their arguments about the scientific development of the Ottoman Empire or modernization problem in the Ottoman Empire or the relationship between Europe or the West with the Ottoman Empire and their Occidentalist thought about Europe or the West.
Yes.
And they used all of these arguments, religion, science, modernization, literature, etc., for nation building. Sorry, because they see that Ottoman Empire collapsing, that they wanted to bring Ottoman society back because they lost almost all the Christian entities of that Ottoman Empire in the Balkans. They wanted to collect Muslims, Turks,
Mhm.
Albanians, Arabs, and a little bit Kurds in the Ottoman Empire. And they wanted to establish a new Ottoman identity, the scientific and Islamic. But this Islam is kind of secular Islam, and you should be a good person. You should learn scientific developments. For example, they use a hadith. Do you know hadith? The words of the Prophet Muhammad. For
Yes,
example, there
yes.
is a if science located in China, go take it. They use this kind of scientific hadith, and they use the social way of Islam, and they don't give any importance to namaz or oruç or hajj. They use only social and cultural way of Islam. And you should study, you should learn, you should make scientific developments, etc., etc.
Where do you think your research will go in the future? Will you continue publishing on the topic um, of intellectual the intersection of the intellectual and philosophical traditions within the Ottoman Empire, or do you think you will be looking at some other topic?
I want to continue from Ottoman and Turkish context, but I also want to compare it with European examples because Ottoman intellectuals used European examples a lot of, but I don't write any article about European examples. My articles mostly about the Ottoman one and compare them or to see that what they took from Europe. But I want to learn what Europe actually have in these days. For example, I wrote an article about the first Bersonian journal in the last days of the Ottoman Empire. I update I uploaded it to a journal, but I think in July there's no news.
Well, that's pretty typical at this point in time, isn't it? It can be months and months before some decisions are made. It's difficult time to be writing in for academic journals because of timelines for reviews just keep getting extended and extended and extended.
After I uploaded this article, I go to military service and come back, and still no news. And
Yes.
it's a four month, and they say you should wait approximately 6 months.
Yes, and by this point, the information is often old, and we move on to something else, and then we have to come back, much like this podcast, where I've brought you back to your research that you did 6 years ago on Kaiser Wilhelm.
And I uploaded another article on Thursday, and writing another article, and it's very busy days.
Yes. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you wanted to share about Kaiser Wilhelm's journey, or the impact on him, or the relationship between the German and Ottoman empires?
I think with this journey, both Ottoman Empire and German Empire located themselves against the concert of Europe because the German Empire wanted to become protector of not only Protestants but also Catholics and other groups, and they not only challenged against British Empire but also the old enemy French Empire, and with protecting the Ottoman Empire also turn her face down against Russia, and Ottoman Empire, by giving so many permissions to German Empire, turn her face down against both British Empire and French. And it's it can be addressed as a Catholic marriage. Do you know Catholic marriage? You cannot
Yes.
divorce.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
German Empire and Ottoman Empire married, and they couldn't divorce until the end of the both empires. And after Napoleonic Wars, the British Empire became the protector of Ottoman Empire, but she left this position after German Empire took this position from the hands of British Empire. And later, she shared Ottoman lands with France with secret agreements like Sykes-Picot and other agreements. I think this journey can be addressed as the beginning of the end.
Yes. And I think it serves as a case study for how religious activities, in some may classify them as pilgrimages, but let's just stick with a more neutral term of religious activities, are used for political purposes, but they're, as you say, they're soft. I don't, maybe we could say soft crusade as you have, but uh, they are subterranean
Yes.
in some way. And we see this in many examples right up until recently, even with Vice President Vance going to Jerusalem over the past month or 6 weeks, where he visits the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and does not visit other holy sites. And so there's a message, there's a priority that is being given, and it's happening under the guise of a religious activity.
And this journey was also important for Jews because Theodore has visited the
Yeah.
Kaiser for many times in this journey, but Kaiser says no because he don't believe hers, or he don't want to distract the Sultan because Sultans fear that the Jews will take lands and found a Jewish settlement in these lands, and Kaiser says no.
Mm. Even though there were already Jewish settlements there.
Yes, and
Yeah, so it's not like they were going to start from nothing. That there were already Jewish settlements.
yes, and do you know that another topic? The Pope will visit Iznik.
Sorry?
Do you know that the Pope will visit Iznik, the one of the first center of Christianity in Turkey?
He did visit, or he's going to visit?
I think he did or he will visit in these days.
Okay. I didn't know that.
And do you know the Iznik is one of the first centers of Christianity because the first council for Christianity was held in Iznik, and
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
the Christianity established in Iznik.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, that there are a lot of important Christian sites in Turkey.
And later, the, the Roman Empire forcibly make Istanbul one of the centers of Christianity.
Yes.
And actually, Jerusalem, Rome, I think Alexandria and Antakya were the centers of Christianity. He added Istanbul to these lands,
Yeah.
and Istanbul became one of the centers of Christianity. In the Council of Chalcedon.
Turkey is an important uh Turkey is an important country, but also the Ottoman Empire is quite important historically, and it's the crossroads, isn't it,
Yes,
of empires.
Ottoman Empire had all the pilgrimage locations for both Christianity, Islam, and Judaism.
Yes, and also the
Yes,
Baha'i tradition, because the center point for Baha'i pilgrimage is in Haifa, so
yes,
that was also within the domain of the Ottoman Empire.
and they also forcibly migrated to Edirne in Ottoman Empire, but there are a little bit Baha'i people in Turkey now. Most of them are living in Antakya, Hatay,
Hmm.
and most of the Baha'is migrated to Germany or other countries. And there were many Baha'is in Iran, but after the Islamic revolutions, they were
Yes,
killed, unfortunately.
yes, and there are a large percentage of Baha'i people that came to the United States, and
Yes,
also to places like Australia.
yes, and there is a Ismaili center at US or UK.
Hmm.
Founded it, and most there are many Islamic intellectual and cultural centers in Europe and the US,
Yes,
and more than Turkey.
yes. Well, it's nice to meet someone like yourself who has an interest in religion, but also in the intersection of political activity and religious activity, uh, and also fascinating to meet someone who has written about this journey of Kaiser Wilhelm. And thank you so much for responding
Thank
to
you,
my email right away. I mean, as soon as I found your article, I reached out because I wanted to hear more about your perspective on the topic of Kaiser Wilhelm's 1898 journey. And it's really nice to meet you. Thank you
thank you,
for
thank
taking
you,
the time to be here.
thank you.